I was just reading about these adventurers and explorers climbing high up in the mountains. It looks really cool, but it looks freezing. You ever wonder how they keep warm, especially when they're trying to sleep at night? Well, they use equipment like this tent and this sleeping bag to limit a process that's called heat transfer. And just like it sounds, heat transfer is the movement of heat from one object or set of objects to another. And this can be done through three methods: thermal radiation, thermal conduction, and thermal convection. We're going to talk about all three of those, how explorers try and limit it, and we're also going to talk about how we use it in our day-to-day lives. See, these explorers, these mountaineers and climbers need to fuel their bodies so that they can generate that heat. And they do that by eating. So our next stop is going to be in the kitchen, where we will use heat transfer to make some delicious food. So I made it out of the tent, and I'm here in the kitchen to make myself a snack, give my body some fuel to keep me warm while I'm camping out tonight. So I'm going to make myself a piece of toast, and I'm going to use all three methods of heat transfer to make it delicious. So I'm going to start out by popping it in the toaster here. So this is thermal radiation. What I mean by that is, if you look closely at these coils, those coils are glowing red, and that's something that we can see. But something that we can't see, but we can kind of feel, is that they're glowing with infrared light. So it's radiating heat from the coils through this transparent medium here, which is air, to the toast and kind of the area around it. Like, I can really feel it. Okay, and so then when it's done, I can pop it out. Oh! Let's try that one more time. When it's done, I can pop it out. And my butter was in the fridge. So it's a little bit hard, which makes it hard to spread. So I'm going to put it on my toast here and let my toast warm up the butter. And what type of heat transfer do you think this is? That's right. It is conduction. The hot toast is conducting its heat up into the butter, which is cooler. Heat is always seeking to find equilibrium. So the hot toast is trying to transfer its heat to everything around it until the air and the butter and the plate and the toast are all the same temperature. And that is the reason why if I left this for a while, it'd be room temperature and it probably wouldn't be very good to eat. This toast looks like it is, oh yeah, it did a good job of conducting its heat up into that butter. And so now I have nice soft butter and I can give it a taste. Whew. All right. The toast is too hot. I can't eat it like this. But I got a trick. What's happening here? Any guesses? That's right. Convection. I'm blowing cool air over the toast, and as that air passes over the toast, it touches the toast, the air molecules bounce off the toast and pick up a little bit of the heat from the toast, so that my cooler air hits the toast and gets warmed up. It transfers some of the heat from the toast to the air. Now let's give it a shot. Much better. Now with those adventurers that are high up in the mountains, they're trying to limit heat transfer. So let's go back out into the tent and see how they can limit heat transfer to stay warm on their adventures. Okay, So I've got fuel and I'm ready to camp out. Let's talk about how we're going to limit heat transfer to have a comfortable night. So let's start out with the tent. The tent has an outer shell that's made of nylon, kind of like this. This is a wind jacket that I use when I'm outside my tent sometimes. What kind of heat transfer method do you think a wind jacket like this and the outer shell of my tent prevents? Do you think it prevents convection, conduction, or radiation? That's right, it prevents convection. The tent is going to keep the air inside the tent a little bit warmer by blocking any movement of air. Next, I have my sleeping pad. These are really important. When I first started camping out, I didn't have one. I had a pretty good sleeping bag and a pretty good tent, but I would wake up every morning so cold, and the ground would be warm. What kind of heat transfer method do you think a sleeping pad like this prevents? Do you think it's convection, conduction, radiation? That's right, it's conduction here, right? I was conducting heat from my body down into the ground. Now this sleeping pad is kind of fancy. It actually prevents two types of heat transfer because it's shiny on this side. What kind of heat transfer do you think something shiny like this prevents? Radiation, you're right. It's reflecting my body heat off of itself and back to me to keep me warm. You might see in first aid kits, it fell over. There we go. You might see in first aid kits or emergency kits a little silver blanket like this. And this does a similar thing. You can use it in an emergency to keep your body warm by stopping radiation. And this actually also will block a little bit of convection too. Here's a tricky one. What do you think the sleeping bag does? The sleeping bag actually kind of does a couple of things. Your body does warm up the air inside of here through both radiation and through convection. And so both of those things cause the air to heat up a little bit. And once your sleeping bag is a little bit warm, it's in more of a state of equilibrium that we were talking about earlier. And that helps insulate you. It helps keep you warm. And so those are the three methods of heat transfer. We've talked about how we try and limit it when you're inside of a tent, when you're on an adventure. And we talked about how we use it to cook food. So thanks for watching. I hope you stay safe out there, and I'll see you on your next big adventure. Take care.